You don't stop, won't stop. You defend bioterrorists and then come after school kids and what? There's no counseling for school kids? There's no, we need to talk to somebody? This is lock her up and terrorize her because we fake school shootings, and so we have to say that it's no joke to talk about threatening a school? Like, what the fuck? In 2013, the U.S. Congress got together. Before that, we had 6 mass televised school shootings from Kent State in 1970 to Sandy Hook. There were like 6 major after they made domestic propaganda legal by repealing a ban in the Smith-Mundt Act. We had 150 school shootings a year. The FBI defends bioterrorists. The FBI defends backroom deals for men who agree to poison 9,000 babies a day, and then they're like, and here's someone we can pick on, a school child. She had a bad day, and instead of getting her help, we padded a quota. You guys are fucked in the head, just like absolutely fucked. What do you think this is? You think this is like a giant zoo? I know that's their thinking. That's some of their cult secret thinking, is it's a zoo, and they're the civilized people who know how to be shitheads to people so they can have power. The FBI, coordinating trillions of dollars, has found a 15-year-old girl. We'd like to threaten them with state terrorism. Think before you post. I'm thinking, hey, here's links about you being bioterrorists. Here you are faking There's you guys faking terror attacks. That's not us, that's England. That's the same club. It's the same club of Nazis. Same club of special triangle finger people. Hey. I post about you being assassinating AI pioneers. Here's you guys assassinating. Oh no, we'll post about how you guys did the anthrax attacks. That wasn't us, that was the CIA. We just work hand in glove with them. Here's a post about the Israeli concert attack being a hoax so they could get a genocide. But we caught the 15-year-old girl. You don't appreciate we caught the 15-year-old girl who was having a bad day. We've discovered that we're the child sex traffickers, and it makes wonderful blackmail for politicians. Hey. Let's go through what are you guys on about? Well, there's fake news. There's more fake news. Hey. What is Trump doing with men in masks? People appreciate that. Here's a crisis actor starting false flag wars not a false flag war, there's a real war going on, but I'm so used to saying false flag war, you gotta forgive me. Here's men who found innocent brown people. Where's a solid distraction? Here's bioterrorists meeting in secret. I've got a number 2 bioterrorist, and former number 2 bioterrorist says, law enforcement. The laws apply to the peasants. The laws do not apply to us. If I'm elected, I'll bring hope and change you can believe in and stay in Iraq for years and assassinate people who try to expose 9/11. Well done, Mr. Obama. Hey, that club was you. Hey. What are you gonna do? A secret cult of elites that aren't allowed to speak about anything that are, Why does this come up like this? If you try and search, you gotta, there, you're gonna go to the page. CNN asks Egyptian foreign minister about aid into Gaza. Well, Egypt is on board with the psychological operations. We have proof of that. Where's the proof of Egypt being on board with psychological? Oh, yeah. Here you go. Here's Egypt. Egyptian government. If we make them kill the brown people, we'll have all power. That was a false flag fueled. We need to kill these people. They're blowing stuff up. The news story is that the guy in blue blew himself up, but you slow it down, the guy in blue doesn't blow himself up. Well, they did a really shitty Photoshop job. Look at you see the bottom of the frame start to light up, like that's the explosion, you know, that's where they colored it in, and I don't know if they lit a bomb off later. Again, here's the St. Cloud hoax stabbing. A Marine spotted that. He had to go and set up his own website because YouTube was deleting his videos because his work was too good. It's a rubber training knife. That guy supposedly got stabbed in the back and gets up and jogs away with the rest of the video. You can find the video somewhere. Sure, I'm still somewhere still. I'm sure. Here's very likely. I'm 90% positive. Here's Adam Lanza, the Sandy Hook shooter. A lot of people were saying when that happened, people who are smart about these things, that they used like 5-year-old pictures of the kids, and then this is 3 years later with the Christina Grimmie hoax. On the day of the Orlando Pulse, they fake killed Christina Grimmie so that they'd have an outlet story in case something went wrong and somebody noticed, and it went viral. Not that things can go viral, they edit viral so heavily, but in case something went wrong with the Orlando Pulse, they would have said, "How dare you talk about conspiracy at a time like this? Don't you know Christina Grimmie just died?" And it would have been people who watched the news and had no idea who Christina Grimmie was, but just found out. Again, here's the Times Square terrorist. Making people surf on cars. Cars going 50 miles an hour have a 97% kill rate on pedestrians. This car was supposedly going 90 miles an hour. And people are surfing on the hood of it. They fucked up with their CGI job. That guy just said, "Yeah, woo! They fake all news." What do you mean by all news? I mean all news. This is the Ariana Grande Manchester bomber. He had a glow up. He lost his kinky black hair and he got wavy brown hair. He lost his swarthy skin tone and he became pale and pink and pasty. I was personally offended by that because that was like a few days after I felt stupid putting my garbage out in a robe. They ran that news story. Anyway, this is how they do. This is the psychological level that your government works on. News inclusion with your government. All the news is sold out. They have no journalists. They can't afford to have journalists. Journalists mean they need to assassinate more people. If they need to assassinate more people, then some of their insiders will start to feel like, well, maybe we're not the secret good guys who do all evil. But when the debate was on in like 2007, 2008 about vaccinations, they said, Jenny McCarthy, get her. People will trust a doctor over a chick that was a playmate. Like, I know someone there is sincere, but that was the game they played. Westminster car attack. The car went down the street one time. A woman uploaded this to Instagram from a bus. They didn't know about it. And then later, their official news video, that woman's on the ground. The car only went down the street one time. Here they are faking war on Muslims so that they can be bioterrorists unmolested and map your brain with 5G AI and do mind control. It's not natural. This is the demon brain snake thing that makes them cackle and smile at their evil. This was the Vegas sniper hoax. This is why you gotta get ID'd when you walk into a hospital, because they killed Dr. Symptom. Dr. Sinyi Tam was killed in the Bronx, Lebanon hospital. He carried a gallon of gasoline and an AR-15 into the hospital and nobody noticed. Here they are entrapping an Israeli soldier into defending himself against a mob of people, and you know, they had a cast on the kid's arm, but This was the middle of nowhere, a protest that nobody saw, and there's a professional camera is another professional camera here. Just happened to be on scene. Hey, they start the wars. I mean, this is them just, when they outsource to the third world and do false flags, they screw up bad. Hey. Hey. What else, you guys? The measles outbreak is over. Yeah. Are you guys gonna be slightly less Nazi? But they're still poisoning 9,000 babies a day. Again, I got this on my clipboard. Makes my life easier than typing it out all the time. This study here, you can Google it, you can find it. But they fact-checked the meme that was going around that 79.4% of SIDS deaths occurred the day of vaccination. And it wasn't true, it was only 11%, but there should only be a 0.74% chance of dying of SIDS on any random day. But the day babies get vaccinations, there's an 11% chance if they die of SIDS, that's the day they die of SIDS. This is why they need to assassinate people who are flying to Brazil to go to a vaccination conference and expose COVID. Is what I want to be doing with my life, putting stickers on Counter-Strike guns, but they torture me and mind control me there with their Counter-Strike is 5v5 and they make it the 9v1 every time. That's their gang stalk torture. That's their make you violent, make you suicidal. Same play they did with 9/11. Once we go in shooting, they'll look like terrorists. Here, I'm sure is maybe this is real. Like one real news story out of a million fake news stories. Hey, the CIA is uploaded. They want me to be looking at the FBI. I'm getting a lot of FBI stuff when I'm talking today. So yeah, I don't even know if this is real. I don't think that's real. That can't be real. It's just too perfect a circle for them, even them, I would think. Even with their, these are weather weapons. We use their tax dollars to make war on them. Hey. Crazy but true. Let's see what the New York Post is doing. What are the New York Post? You gotta have consideration for people. There were the New York Post editor got assassinated with anthrax after 9/11 by Bush and friends because he was publishing pictures of Bush's daughters partying. Hey, all bullshit news. Just bioterrorists doing their thing. Mind control, 5G AI, assassinate people doing their thing. Oh. And then real war. A man in an office in a suit said, "Oh, these children will fight over anything. Send them to war. I want more property." Anyway. This is he's got the look of, he's got the look of somebody's got him on a paycheck. He's got the clown face. They've been running these stories. Bioterrorists are talking about squirrels with diseases. That's, the 5G is going to make immune systems weaker across the board. It's not just for people. When immune systems are weaker, then underlying things that immune systems can beat manifest. I hate to use the word manifest because I forgot that these are all witchy people. He wanted to decriminalize prostitution, and I, as an established Freemason that fakes news, am not into that. The number of attacks that they faked in New York. It was they faked someone ramming somebody on Halloween just to terrorize moms for Halloween a few years ago. That was where are we at with that? He used a Home Depot truck, but they forgot to where's the school bus? There's the truck he used, but where's the school bus? Oh yeah. You can find your government out by by studying. Yeah, there's the school bus that was hit. So the trouble is the Home Depot truck hit the school bus way higher than the damage would have been on a school bus. So I don't know, they just cordoned off an area or what, but if they did the live action, he must have jumped off a curb. And then it was special needs kids too for the extra hit. You know who you need to hate? This crisis actor's family. He's even got his Freemason floor on. Hey, fake all news. But anyway, so that Home Depot truck is not landing that high on that school bus to dent it like that. That's just not how things work. That's all you gotta do is pay attention to bioterrorists. Again, a 7.5-hour long attack in Israel.
And I know all these things firsthand because I served on the Gaza border. And there's many people that say, oh, well, this was just a breach. No, that's not a breach. I'm sorry, that's not a breach. That's an inside job. So we're all trying to make sense of what...
So, I don't know if that guy's living his best life anymore or he's dead, who knows. But that's your government. There's your government at work. That's Obama's daughters and Obama's best friends. Michelle couldn't, the technology's not there yet for Michelle to bear a child. Hey. So, yeah. Here's some gang stalking. What was the gang stalking for the day? I forget. They were too fast for me that day. That's the gang stalking corner where the 1 in 50 cars out here has a vanity plate, but at the gang stalking corner, I don't want to, I want to click on this, but I don't because I don't want to, you know, there's a 1 in 50 chance that it would, but anyway, it's 1 out of 2 cars usually there that has a vanity plate. Again, with Trump said they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, and then they fake the news story to tell you it's so. But the cops here.
Put your hands behind your back. Someone got rubber gloves. She's covered in blood.
So he thought they were going to add blood after the fact, but she is not, in fact, covered in blood. This is supposedly, oh, you know how horrible they are. They eat cats in the middle of the street. Like, no, nope, you're lying. You're making up news to destroy life, destroy people, destroy happiness. Hey, this was fun. This is how gang stalking goes. Aside from the electro torture, aside from the mind control torture, this is to break you, and they call it establish omnipotence is one of their torture, one of the 10 rules of torturing somebody. So the day before this, I was talking about their devil horn hand signs and how, you know, it's like whatever's puppeteering them to make the devil horn hands, it's arbitrary. It doesn't have to be devil horns. I was like, it could be like the hang loose symbol. And that's what I was saying the day before. And then I went shopping the next day, and this guy with his NWO t-shirt just on the phone in front of me, like walking around slow walking in front of me. I'm not a gang stalker. I get on the phone in the dairy aisle and call my wife and walk real slow in front of you. But I mean, that's the gang stalking all day. That's the coincidentology. So they make sure that you're not not sane enough to talk about them. The same week when they did the George Floyd hoax, they did the same hoax in Paris. I don't know if God's like, all right, Satan, you can do it, but you've gotta you've gotta make them catchable too. I have no idea. Whatchamacallit? Where was I going with after that? Oh yeah, I knew I had yeah. This is they've been like after their psychological operations, they let their people get bonus money out of GoFundMe. Like I forget who was calling it Go Fraud Me, but was it PK Truth? I don't know. But anyway, poor PK. They jailed him in Australia for his YouTube work. But this guy's family's like raising $1.5 million. They'd seen what the other crisis actors had gotten. They thought that was ambitious, and then they got $15 million. And just to be, they got $2 million for their child's fund. This man is not dead, though. Hey. It was after the, you should have seen after the church attack hoax was, it was like freaking, I want to say there are at least like 30 different people. You know, I have a family member, like church people are not the people that go out after someone dies and the day of put up a GoFundMe. But that was what was happening. They all put up a GoFundMe right away. The government gave me $150K to fake this news, but I'd like a bonus. Hey, here's Dr. Wilner talking about Fauci in 1995. I hate to do stuff like this because I know they'll make it myopic. They'll be like, "Oh yes, it's Fauci's fault." Like, no, what? Like the FBI, CIA, NSA, DARPA are all just like scratching their heads, and Fauci's running around like a supervillain. Like again, they're all colluding.
How anyone could suggest that I would stick myself with a virus that is supposedly deadly for the purpose of selling a book, that's complete insanity. And I will put the lie to the individuals of the NIH, particularly Gallo and Fauci and Hazeltine and Essex, and the rest of these scoundrels of the worst order. Criminals guilty of genocide, without a doubt. I invite them to take me to court. I wish Burroughs Wellcome would take me to court, because they have been putting out a killer drug knowingly.
So again, his point was that AZT, if you were alive at the time, when again, it's amazing. It's the same club right now that's like LGBTQ, divide and conquer. Tell them this. Tell little boys that they need to chop off their penis. 35 years ago, was terrorizing the planet with stay away from gay people. Gay people are a plague. Like if you were gay back then, you were just. What was happening was there were party drugs in nightclubs. This is Dr. Wilner's. You can find it. This is Dr. Wilner's lecture. He'll explain it better than me, but there were party drugs going around. So yeah, you can find that on YouTube. But there were party drugs going around gay nightclubs in New York. In New York, I'm not saying New York, going around. And so that was making people sick. So they knew they had sick people, so they knew they could fake a virus. So Dr. Wilner's point is HIV was known about for, over 50 years, but it was a disease of starvation. If you're starving, your immune system gets compromised, you present with symptoms from HIV. When they told us in the 80s, they was like, this is new. They knew they control all information. A few good doctors like Dr. Wilner, he was a PhD and an MD, did research on their own and knew it was a known virus. But so what they did to sell their story was they were giving people AZT, a cancer drug from the 50s that was killing patients that they discontinued, which chemo already is super questionable. But so they were slow killing them with AZT and saying, ha ha ha, this is a virus, you got to be careful, and nobody's allowed to go out, and it's just the gay people, so nobody cares. And then their club pivoted and said, oh, you don't want your boy to have sex with a man? What are you, crazy? Now they do the Orlando Pulse nightclub hoax to say, oh, you should be more tolerant. See, we've taught them tolerance. Like, no, I was there like 35 years ago. You were basically like making it like, oh, if a gay person walked down that block, stay on this block for the next 2 months. Hey, same club, same people. Crazy but true. Hey. Meanwhile, this is them laughing at us. This is Dr. Lie When Lying is his name at the start of COVID. He's sitting in a hospital bed in China and he sneaks out a message and says, I'm dying in China. Like, people have died of COVID, and people live through their bioterrorism tech designed to mask 5G MF poisoning, and the healthy people didn't drop. He dropped dead in a week from COVID in his hospital. But like, look at have you ever seen a more healthy looking person in your life? Dr. Lie When Lying, supposedly in communist China, from his bed, not a super hacker, just broadcasting on his phone. This virus is super deadly. We all need to hunker down and do whatever they tell you. Don't believe that it's not true. It's really real. And again, I pay attention to the news. I watch the news. There was since I'm sure plenty of the news anchors know that they fake most news. The one woman was trying to give a nod to her friends, like, "This is real, guys. We're not kidding." Like she was trying to, we usually kid and fake all the news for the peasants, but this one's real, and she didn't know it was real. So they're like terror cells within themselves, and they don't know, the people that torture dogs don't know that the bioterrorists are doing the bioterrorism and the... Hey. Yeah, and that's what goes on. And then every 4 years they run distraction news like transgender people want to pee next to your child. Were you thinking about the presidential election and geopolitics? Well, you better vote this way for our puppet that pretends he's on a separate side from the other puppet. And that's how government works. And that's how the government works. The kind, personable, sympathetic widow refuses $1.8 million because she wants to sue for 9/11 truth, and then she dies in a plane crash. 300-something people died in a plane crash the year that she died in a plane crash. She died in a plane crash a week after meeting Obama. They're like, oh, she's not going to stop. Here's Bill Cooper that they assassinated off of 9/11 2 months before 9/11. He said, if anything happens in the coming months that they blame on Osama bin Laden, don't you believe it? 2 months later, he was shot dead on his front lawn. He was a Navy vet. He had a popular radio show. He was a crazy conspiracy theorist, and he guessed the 9/11 terror attacks. His point was, you can find his stuff on YouTube, but his point was that supposedly the CIA, like all global intelligence, is looking for Osama bin Laden, and CNN walked into a cave and did an interview with him, and then, they keep tabs on everything, so it's just complete bullshit. And he knew they were planning a false flag. This goes with this. Again, I'm just on repeat, but for a while, every news story had cell phone stop the bullet, all the fake news, the laptop stopped the bullet in the Fort Lauderdale hoax. Laptop saves life in Fort Lauderdale hoax. But this is an AR-15 round going through I think it goes through 5 Androids it goes through, I don't want to get sued by Apple. I think it goes through 5 Apples and 6 Androids. Our phones, you only need 5 of our phones to stop a bullet. But, just tie that in with where are we at? Tie that in with, I got it somewhere here. Oh yeah, this is also the Fort Lauderdale hoax where the cell phone stopped the bullet. This complete, Photoshop news story. This guy had time to do his makeup that day. I'm going to be on TV. I'm going to be the cool cop who rescued people. Again, I got a personal nod in this one. The personal nod in this one was, it was 2 weeks before this. I was figuring out oh shit, they're putting, so this is CIA doing voices in my head stuff. And then the Fort Lauderdale thought that the government was putting voices in his head. Again, nobody thought George Washington was putting voices in their head. Nobody thought Abe Lincoln was putting voices in their head. The CIA started covertly, without anybody knowing about it, doing mind control experiments in the 50s and 60s, MK Ultra, and then psych wards filled up with people thinking the government was putting voices in their head. And now they bioweapon and attack the planet so that you'd have brain fog and not realize the voices in your head might not be your own, or just, I think normal people don't get the voices in their head because they're actually kind of obvious, between the demonic and the evil and the CIA stuff, it's pretty easy to discern the difference when they're doing the voice-to-skull technology is what they call it. But reading your mind, that's undetected. So the 5G towers are just there to read your mind. Here's Anderson Cooper with his...
I'm from. You're smiling, you're able to talk about your son. I think there's a lot of people...
There's Anderson Cooper upset that they sent him a bad crisis actor. And here's the same crisis actor at the Challenger shuttle hoax, if I can find it. Crisis actress. I'm not with your new verbiage. I don't know. Anyway, she was at the Challenger shuttle hoax. Memorial. Here's from the Challenger shuttle hoax. Everybody had a twin brother. They do traumatic programming, right? So they make you traumatized, and then you're more willing to listen to outside. But yeah, here she is, same woman. Challenger shuttle memorial. Hey. They repurposed their crisis actors. It was let me see. You've been frying my brain. I can't even type anymore. They made this girl if I can find it. Yeah, this was the girl that was getting abused in Sandy Hook by her parents. So that girl right there, the sweetheart of the Stockholm truck attack. I don't know if I'll be able to find this. Eesh. Yeah, here you go. This is the same girl. And then they're brought up into this. They become members of a special club. I guess I'm going to have to sit through an ad, but...
I've been seeing headlines about countries moving away from the U.S. dollar.
Ay. But so anyway, they reuse these people. They're indoctrinated into their system of we lie to everybody and we bioterrorize the planet. And this is what their upbringing is like. This little girl, that's the same girl. Her dad chokes her out on camera here. This is her mom prompting her.
Nothing really much. It's just we heard like an ambulance and a police officer come, and everybody was a little scared, crying, and I felt actually a little sick. And it felt like I was gonna throw up, and it felt except to my teacher.
Were kids crying and screaming?
Yeah, kids were crying, not really like screaming, but they're all huddling together, and they felt so sick.
Her mom says when she arrived at the firehouse, Alexis was already
Crying.
This is a better interview.
Now, but every single parent that I've spoken to, and there's a million of them, are just...
There's a better interview where it's much more obvious that mom is prompting, like, she says, and I can't find that interview ever anymore, but she says, like, you know, like, she pats her kid's head, and the kid's like, oh, they were on the roof, and then she rubs her kid's belly, and the kid's like, some people felt like they had a tummy ache. And here's don't cross evil club child molester bioterrorist dad. Like when a kid responds like that to your dad doing that, like, you know, it's not a healthy parenting. Again, this is what I was just talking about with the FBI, just like, oh, we've caught a child and so this kid is I know that squirmy feeling. It comes with a demonic attack. So anyway, that's all that. That's what goes on there. But that's the same girl from the Stockholm truck attack. There's a lot of disinformation about crisis actors and like repeats, and because they know they do it and they know they get caught, so they put out bad information. So people, when they check it out, will have it in their mind. It's the same thing they did with the October 7th attack. They had Mr. You missed it probably because they didn't go very far with it, but they had the Q shaman on news exposing what they do, but he's dressed in his full Q shaman stuff. It's just like what they do with what they did with Jenny McCarthy with vaccinations. They know how you think. They know when your friend shows you this and is like, see, I told you they conspire. Your friend doesn't see the 200 IQ play that they had a guy dressed like an idiot saying that they conspire. So you're like, yeah, see, these people are idiots. This is the guy that attacked on October. It's not October. It's whatever. The Capitol. I'm mixing up the Israeli hoax concert attack with that. But yeah, that's crazy but true. But they know how you think, so they had the Q shaman guy, the guy that was dressed as a shaman in their false flag, that they pivoted because they realized there was too much evidence, so they said that people were leading them through and they're trying to expose it while not getting caught because the evidence was so damning that they were just leading people around. You know, I mean, you're supposed to get shot if you're like running into Congress and attacking people, but instead not get shot. I mean, it shouldn't be, but that's the general accepted evil land of evil way of doing things. But whatchamacallit. So they know how you think. They know that you'll, when a friend shares that with you, they'll be like, oh, these fucking crazy conspiracy theorists, like, this is what you always say, that they fake all news, and now the Q shaman said, this is where you get this? You listen to this guy? And those are the 200 IQ plays that Harvard and Yale grads like Anderson Cooper play on people. So anyway, here's Terence Cheeky that they assassinated. I know I'm just on repeat, but this is how they do. He slashed his own forearms 12 times. He cut his own jugular vein. He ran across the field, shot himself in the head at a 45-degree downward angle, and then he decided what, I don't know. He threw away his handcuffs that he had on because he had handcuff marks on his wrist, and he threw away the gun that he killed himself with after he killed himself because there's no gun found at the scene of his suicide, and you can find the autopsy online still that they ruled it a suicide. But he was the first responder inside the Oklahoma City bombing, and he didn't like what he saw, and he investigated for a year, and he told his family he was scared for his life. Men were following him, and then he found out he had a real reason to be scared for his life. But, I mean, look at the guy. Like, you know, they took the handcuffs off so there wouldn't be splatter marks from handcuffs when they shot him, and he fought back and got half a mile across the field before they killed him. The same event, the Oklahoma City bombing, an off-duty cop found him within an hour because he had no license plate or something. Like, an off-duty cop just pulled him over and was like, "You're suspicious," and, you know. Every last televised news terror attack is solved within 1 day or 2 days. Every last, murders take months, years, and go unsolved. But when they do a false flag, it's packaged and sold within a day. When they do the hoax bombing, whatchamacallit, the Boston Marathon hoax, they get a guy who's an amputee and he rolls around, and then they roll him around, and this of how they roll people around. Like, this is the temperature in the room. If you're not sure that they're full evil. Hey.
From about the age of 9 or 10 that I wanted to be a scientist. Most of my activities, like playing with model fireworks or model railways.
So if you watch the whole thing, he just says over and over, "I want to go home and live with my mother in her house," over and over and over. And it's clearly, like, if you were paying attention to the man, but that's Stephen Hawking. They wheeled him around for decades. There's a hidden army of evil people that do evil all day long. And they were brought up wrong. They were brought up being molested. They didn't know any better. I suppose that's the way I look at things. This is what I was taught. This is what I taught myself. This is what I figured out in life. But again, here they are during COVID. They wanted you to get the jab. They knew people were vaccine hesitant. They always use, language that'll manipulate you into thinking their way. But if you've ever driven in snow, that van is not stuck in the snow. We had to give out the precious vaccinations right in the middle of the snow, or else lest one vaccination be wasted and a life not be saved. And that was to drum up, so, you'd read that story and you weren't sure if you're going to get the vaccination, and then the little clicks in your head, "I got to get it quick before they run out. These things are blowing up in the street." Like, when was the last time you ever heard, supposedly the most precious thing on the planet? Like, when was the last time you ever heard, the truck of toys got stuck in the snow? Speaking of measles, this is how they do with vaccinations. This is how they always do. They come in and use the appearance of something to get away with stuff. They use the appearance of climate change to get away with bombing us with neurotoxins. It's a proper way to put it. It's actual warfare. They're cooking your brain slowly, so you're dumb, slow, apathetic, you're easily irritable. Get dementia way early. Early onset dementia is up 2.3 times since they began spraying. And then it's not, I didn't get dementia, I'm fine. Like, that's still, you're going to be irritable, you're going to forget where your keys were, your quality of life's going to be a little bit worse. But that's how they do. It's the appearance of, so they can come in, sneak in and say, yes, see, and we will fix it because we are special club evil. Hey! Crazy but true. This guy served America for 60 years, and then he noticed that the Pentagon attack was a hoax, and they demonized him. They smeared him. They said he was a crazy person. This guy worked in intelligence. Like, probably smarter than 90% of us, but since you saw a plane hitting the Pentagon, all of a sudden, he's losing his mind. He's a crazy person. They dishonored, one of the most honorable people in America. A guy who would come out and say that because there were rooms full of people who didn't come out and say anything, and he knows how things work. I'm sure it clicked in his head instantly. I could be assassinated saying this, but I'm going to say it. Not like he was thinking, I'm old, and I'm sure every second he spends with his grandchildren and stuff, he's very happy. But that's your government at work. This is the Westminster car attack. Those guys are qualified doctors, but they needed their news story that when the guy got out of his car, ran up on 2 armed Parliament guards, which I would think would be the best of the best cops in England. They have guns, the Parliament guards. He ran up on him with a knife, and the 2 armed Parliament guards were like, hey, that guy that just rammed everybody in the street is running at us with a knife. Oh, do we defend ourselves? No, wait to see if he stabs you. He's stabbing me. Like, that's the story. That's what they want you to believe. And then a member of Parliament was there to administer aid because he had military training in first aid. And these guys are like, I'm getting a bonus for this, right? You're going out clubbing after we fake this news? Hey. That's the crisis actor huddle. They huddle around and cover the scene. And the Vegas sniper hoax. This chick, that dude carrying people. These guys stand around. To be fair, this kid needs to eat more protein. He needs way more protein in his diet. But, I'm sure he's elite on vacation, not a real SWAT. But anyway, where's the go along with that photo? I know I'm on repeat, but that's that. That's not the go along photo. That's not the go along photo. We'll get back to the go along photo, I guess. This one is just more telling than anything about how they do with that, where the crisis actors carry somebody in front of the camera. This is the path from, I forget which is where the truck attack ended, that Sweden truck attack, where they were abusing the girl and then reused her in the Sweden truck attack. So it started and ended at one of these points, but it's like how long is it? Half a kilometer. So they carried the victim from the scene half a kilometer. This 6'5" cop let this woman carry a victim. Like, the Swedish people are very educated people. They know you don't just carry gunshot wound victims around. And you definitely don't have the 120-pound chick carrying when the 6'5" guy's there and this guy's there. Carrying them past cars, carrying them past people, just doing the photo op. This is PK Truth's work, and you can't see on the top of the photo there, but the top of the photo is where they were picking them off of the ground for the carry around crisis actor shuffle. Crazy but true. Again, this is your government for 50 years. Same people who are now faking George Floyd executions so they can tell their new insiders, we are the defenders of social justice. And for 50 years, we're murder these black men slowly with syphilis. It's the most horrific way to die, and we have a cure for it, but we want to see how it runs through people. And so for 50 years, they didn't treat all those guys because they were throwaway black people, and that's how they think, and that's how but I mean, to be fair, the club just thinks that people are throwaway. Again, with I'm sure Hillary was told, it's your turn, and then she lost her turn to Obama, and they're like, don't worry, you'll be next. We'll put you in after Obama. And then they told her, we're not putting you in, we're putting Trump in, and she probably said, fuck you, and then Chelsea, New York had a bomb, and Hillary's daughter's name is Chelsea. She got the message real quick. Again, that's a club of special people. A club of special people. I have this one included in the middle here because if you remember, she was she was the one chopping off Trump's head in effigy. Again, here's the guy that rammed my car, special CIA agent, code name Alpha Centauri. I don't know. Anyway. If he had caught my tire, my car would have spun into oncoming traffic. And that was a super coordinated. That was what was it like? It was a bicycle runs out into the street and stops in front of me. Like, I complete right away. Like, he just jumped out in the street and stopped in front of me. Then a car jumped out in the street and stopped in front of me. And another car jumps out in the street and stops in front of me. And another car jumped out in the street. So, like, fifth person was him hanging stopped into the lane. And I fucking tapped this, didn't tap that, I don't know. Anyway, fifth person hanging out into the street. So I go around him, and he rams my car. And then he lied that his daughter was in the car, and I feel bad for him. He's like a broken man, and he's fucking CIA asset number 5278 or whatever, and he probably has no idea what goes on. He's just comparing America to where he grew up and said, oh, they do it better here. They told me to ram this guy's car. I guess I'll ram this guy's car. I'm sure, once you're in Club Evil, they're like, hey, you cannot get out or something like that. I'm sure they do gangland stuff. Here's their fake tiger attack. This guy had his left hand in the mouth of a tiger for 5 minutes. And then, oops, that's his that's his left hand fine, but somehow his forearm's ripped off now. Whoop-dee. Here's them bombing populated cities with neurotoxins to make you dumber, make you slow, make some people retarded, make most people just a little dumber. Right on top of New Orleans. I'm terrible with geography, but right on top of Nashville. I know that's like, isn't that like Springfield or whatever, like super populated in Illinois, and then right on top of Chicago, right on top of Indianapolis. Just dumping chemicals on people. Hey, that's your government. That's how they do. This is Max Malone's work with the Kenyan Mall hoax. Again, I know I'm on repeat, but whatever. They've made me demented and senile. But anyway, this supposedly ISIS took over a mall in Kenya. They need to sell their war everywhere, and frickin' these guys are walking in backwards with, there's a cameraman in front of this guy who's in combat. There's a cameraman right here while these guys are in combat with ISIS. There's a cameraman as the 4-year-old found her way come to the cameraman, little child. It will be dramatic. Okay, this is better than when Daddy touches me to make me a super Freemason. So yeah, that's Max Malone's work on YouTube. And then same story. Here's SWAT. Supposedly SWAT had the house surrounded and the cameraman snuck in. So you see this on the news, you don't think twice, you trust them. This guy's walking in with his eyes closed, and this guy's securing the dude holding a baby while there's a man pointing a camera at him. So he doesn't think about the man pointing. There's not supposed to be a man in the house with a camera, and he doesn't think about him. Here's Gary Webb that the CIA assassinated because he was exposing that they sold. They came for him years later. This is like, they're like, oh yeah, just shut up and stop talking. I'm like, I don't quite trust you guys. That was the mind control attack yesterday. I was like, man, I'm just gonna have to eat it to fix this. And they're like, are you gonna eat it? That's what they asked me yesterday in the mind control torture chamber. That is the video games I play. And I was like, man, I just thought that you're raping my brain and telling me mid-rape that you're gonna. Yeah. So anyway, this is what they're trying to make normal, I suppose. But Gary Webb, like 10 years after he exposed that they were selling crack, he committed suicide by shooting himself in the head 2 times. He was so upset that someone stole his motorcycle. Like, I'm sure they gang stalked, tortured him for years, but this guy survived being blacklisted by all media because all media is corrupt. He survived being, everyone thinking he was a nut job, everyone hating him, and then he committed suicide because someone stole his motorcycle. I don't believe it. Oh, I think you're lying again. Hey, this is the photo of the post 9/11 anthrax attacks. This is Bush said we got to take care of this guy. That guy was publishing articles about his daughter, so ISIS decided to attack him. The publisher of the Inquirer that was posting similar stories about Bush's daughters. And then they assassinated, they didn't assassinate. They also sent anthrax to Senator Daschle and Leahy because they were the leading Democrats that opposed the Patriot Act. Patriot Act shredded the Constitution, said the Constitution doesn't count anymore if they say terrorist, and they can say terrorist about anybody they please. These are the people that say terrorist about anybody they please, dressed all neatly with their pressed clothes in the middle of a desert, supposedly waging war on America. That guy does not stand like he's had a Muslim military training. He stands like he's had U.S. military training. These guys are probably just photoshopped in, I'm sure. Who knows? But anyway, here's Pat Tillman. Assassinated. He found himself guarding poppy fields in Iraq, and he said, I'm going to go home and start an anti-war movement. He was a Pro Bowl NFL player through patriotism. Because he was patriotic, quit the NFL to join the war, and he found himself guarding poppy fields in Iraq for drug dealers, and he said, I'm going to go home and talk about this. And within 3 days, he had 3 shots to his forehead from 10 feet away by a fellow Army Ranger, like elite soldier. An elite soldier in the middle of the desert said to himself from 10 feet away, he's only 5'11". All right, maybe it was an honest mistake then. I figured NFL player. So anyway, the hulking guy, an Army Ranger from 10 feet away, while he was in his camp. Like, it wasn't there. I don't think they were out on patrol. It just shot him dead in the camp. So yeah, the friendly fire mistakes happen, but they're usually mortar fire. It's not right after you say, I'm going to expose 9/11, or if, what they were doing off their false flag 9/11. I'm sure he didn't know that 9/11 was a false flag, or he would have said something about that. But anyway. But anyway, that's all that. That's all that. That goes on. Hey. That's your government. That's your government at play. Also CIA mind control, mind fuckery. That's the FBI mind control, mind fuckery, and DARPA and whoever they are, LARPA. That's them. This is why they need to wage war on Mexicans, because honest law enforcement, honest journalism would get their pants in hot water again with they were like YouTube researchers, like good journalists that can't work for anybody because they're doing real journalism. So they had a symposium on YouTube talking about nutrition stuff, and one woman went to a margarine researcher wondering why he stopped researching margarine, and he said he got a phone call one day. So if the FBI was on their job, like, that would be the job of the FBI, to stop stuff like that from going on, but they instead fake news and protect bioterrorists, pedophiles who run false flag wars. Again, I got my childhood friend's mom is getting scammed every week. That's the FBI's job to stop that, but the FBI is on about protecting pedophiles and bioterrorism war and faking news and doing things like the after 9/11, a few years after 9/11, to fill quotas. They found themselves a Muslim guy with an 85 IQ. And they befriended him, became his only friends in the world. Said, hey, isn't it your Muslim duty to be killing Americans? So they sold him a grenade, and then they arrested him. And they could have just as well come alongside that guy and said, hey, we'll be your friend, and did nothing or whatever. He wasn't radicalized. Like, if he was a radicalized person, they would have been able to de-radicalize him, because everyone like, oh yeah, but there were no radicalized people anyway, because our government did all these terror attacks. Our government did all the... They know if they go in shooting, people react. They know when they poke, people react. Hey. Crazy, but that's what goes on. Hey. Oh. So anyway, I got nothing for it. I don't know what to do with it. I should be here happily playing with my cat with catnip, but instead I gotta do this stuff. Hey. And the human catnip there. This was the them setting up the Antifa explosions. 1 million cameras surrounding. There's a boom mic in the air there. There's a professional camera. There's a professional camera surrounding where they're about to do their Antifa bombing. A whole bunch of people gather in a crowd, set up and do an event where a crowd is, so there'll be plenty of witnesses to say, I was there. Explosions at Antifa. But it was firecrackers. And then they started a play fight and recorded it, and that's all that. I should be happily playing World of Warcraft and not bothering anybody, and be so happy that 4 of us were bear form with orbs, but instead they run me out of town. I can't relax. They need to torture me whenever they can get to me. This was the Vegas sniper attack. The top photo was what you saw on the news, but since it would be a little blurb in the news, you wouldn't look at it closely. So this guy, you just see that guy, he's hiding right after the Vegas sniper hoax. But all the people in the background are ordering French fries. All the people in the background are getting soft drinks or ice cream. There's supposedly 50 dead bodies behind them. Again, where's the... I hope this woman's okay. Hey. But you don't know what these people... Where is she? Yeah, so you can find the ABC News 9-hour broadcast live of the Vegas sniper hoax. They didn't know they were broadcasting this woman. She went out over the air by accident. She was standing next to their camera when they were filming the field of supposedly in the blurry nighttime image of, supposedly dead people. And it's at two different parts of the, so you splice them together, you get the full sentence of what she says, but you've got to listen in the background. But what she says is, I'm not buying it right now. I see people laying, but I don't see anybody actually injured. And she's 50 feet from the scene.
The time to gather the weapon, the ammunition, and determine where would be the best vantage point to open fire, spray on the thousands of spectators.
And Brad Garrett, from what we know of...
On our way out, it was just chaos. It was a war zone.
A war zone, and then it was...
You can find that on YouTube. It's still there. Where are we at? Yeah, this 9-hour video.
Time to gather the weapon, the ammunition, and to gather the weapon, the ammunition.
It was just chaos. It was a war zone.
A war...
it was just chaos. It was a war zone.
A war zone, and then it was... And from...
So you can see how close she is to... Because that's where that camera's zooming in from. So she saw 50 crisis actors. That means they have to have a whole bunch of corrupt Vegas cops. They have to have the corrupt FBI overseeing it. They have to have the corrupt CIA to defend it. You have to have corrupt coordination between, multinational levels so that in England they're not like, oh, those Yanks are faking more news again. Oh, jolly well, 007, you've discovered it. Hey. So yeah, that's what goes on, and then they mind control, torture me, and gang stalk me. They want me to commit suicide. They want me to lash out in anger. It's their way. It's talking about Bill Cooper, the radio show. The reason they assassinated him on his front lawn was because it was an assault warrant that they were serving. So I'm sure the way they work, I know how they work. I've experienced it for 16 years of torture. It's they would have walked up behind him in the supermarket and said, your wife looked pretty in that pink negligee last night or something like that. He's a 58-year-old man. I'm sure he never had an arrest in his life. A veteran, and all of a sudden he randomly assaulted somebody. I'm sure that's how that went down. Hey. So, yeah. So that's the bioterrorism and the mind control and torture. And I should happily be sitting at home saying, oh, that photo of my cat came out like the Bigfoot photo. That's awesome, Mom. Instead bioterrorist Nazis. Making shit where there was peace. Bringing division where there was hope. Bringing cruelty where there was kindness. You saw it in 2004, 2005, racism was just healing in America, completely a sea change from the private conversations I'd hear as a kid or whatever. And then they started doing the police are executing black men. All these fucking white people. I hate them. But they're faking all the shootings, and they're perfectly happy weaponizing people against, their frontline throwaway soldiers. Oh, here was, I said I was get back to the Vegas sniper photo. That's those people standing around getting ready to crisis act. Try not to zoom on her face too much. It's 10 years later. I'm sure she looks different. She can disappear into a crowd and feel bad about it. But supposedly, while paramedics were on hand, these people carried this bloody victim. You see all the blood dripping there, right? Oh, no. Okay. Well, anyway, just imagine it in your mind. She just got shot. Incapacitated with an AR-15 in a field and wound up in a basement. Hey! But yeah, and then they carried her out up top to the field, and it's how they do. This is that Marines website. It's got a lot of junk on it because there's a lot of good, honest people trying to make heads or tails of all this stuff, but it's got a lot of good work. And this was Red Silver Jay's work, I think. Or it was a mix of Red Silver Jay's work and some of the Red Silver Jay disappearing was the worst thing that ever happened. I don't know. I'm sure he's fine, but he did the best stuff. He did the most accessible stuff. But he had footage here of, I mean, you can find it and watch it for yourself. He had footage of them carrying victims back into the Orlando Pulse nightclub. The news screwed up. Why can't we play? But anyway, what happened was the 5 crisis actors carry a guy past the camera pans with him, and they carry him, and then they drop him on the ground and like start giggling, and you know, this guy's got a tourniquet on his leg because he's just been shot with a, what was it, AR-15 or AK-47 with that one, I don't know. Either way, they carry him past the camera towards the nightclub, and then they drop him on the ground and start giggling. Hey! So anyway, my biggest problem is they poison 9,000 babies a day and with vaccinations, and they poison the sky and poison the water, and they're doing the mind rape, mind control on me, and what's the demonic stuff into my brain. I don't like it very much. It's painful. So yeah, that's all that. Don't know what to do about it. But the best thing you do about it is talk about their... Tell them stop being evil criminals. Tell them, hey, we're people too. Maybe you should stop being evil criminals. It's test to see how people would against. No, it wasn't. It was there to cook our brains so that they could get away with the 5G mind control. That's what I mean about speculation. People don't put 2 and 2 together easily. Hey, but anyway. Who knows? What are you gonna do?